Hello there, and welcome back to Migraine Relief Hotline. I'm Kelli, the migraine dietitian, and each episode I'll be answering your biggest questions about migraine so you can feel more confident and in control. Now, before we jump into today's question, a quick update on the podcast, because as you may or may not have noticed, I haven't posted, I think, for the past 2 or 3 weeks because life gets busy. It's just little old me around here running my entire business. So some weeks it's easier to record than others. I'm not going to be guaranteeing a weekly episode moving forward, but I will still keep recording episodes for y'all, and I will upload them as I'm able to. It'll probably be twice a month instead of every week. But keep submitting your questions. I am pausing the Patreon just because I'm not uploading consistently. So you can still join it, I believe, but no payments or anything are going to be taken out. So all that being said, thank you so much for being here, for following along, for submitting your questions. And let's go ahead and get into today's question. A quick note before we get started. I am a dietitian, but I am not your dietitian. Everything mentioned in this podcast is meant for educational purposes only. Please do not change anything about your healthcare routine without speaking with your provider first. Today's question is, I feel like I've tried everything. I'm eating well, I'm taking care of myself, and I'm still having so many migraine attacks. What am I missing? So I hear you on this, and this is not uncommon to feel like you're stuck in this frustrating place, because if you've been doing all the right things and you still feel like your migraine attacks are running your life, it can make you feel like, okay, well, what else am I supposed to try, right? This is one of the most common things I hear. So today I want to unpack 3 of the big things that are often missed when it comes to raising your migraine threshold and building true resilience. The first thing to think about is your body needs consistency more than it needs intensity or perfection. So what I mean by that, we often want to go all in on changes when we're desperate for relief, right? But that frantic energy or that really intense energy can backfire. And you probably know what I'm talking about, right? Because when we have that excitement of, okay, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to start all of these new things. I'm going to start Monday. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise if possible, drink water, do all the right things. But sometimes the pressure from feeling like you need to do everything perfectly and change everything starting Monday, that can actually activate your stress response rather than calming it, which is what we want to do. What your body really needs, especially as someone with migraine, is gentle, repeatable support that builds over time. So we're not looking for a perfect week of clean eating followed by screw it, I can't do this anymore, right? We want small, consistent inputs that are going to build your threshold. This requires us to really be honest with ourselves about what we truly can do now. We're not trying to do what we think we should be able to do or what someone else tells us we're supposed to do. We need to create goals and routines and habits that are realistic for us, for you. So if it's not realistic for you to make every meal yourself from scratch, then let's maybe focus more on what is going into those meals. So are you getting veggies or fruits with most meals? Are you getting your protein? Are you eating regularly throughout the day? Even if you didn't make that meal yourself, you can still accomplish that goals. Even if you're having a rough day, you can still eat something, right? The bar is lower. That's what we want to aim for. And then as you incorporate those small doable habits, you'll be able to add more. It's going to slowly build your threshold over time versus trying to do all the things perfectly all at once, burning out, and repeating that cycle over and over and over. That's not only frustrating, but it just doesn't work. So add one reasonable, doable thing at a time. Once you feel good about it, move on to the next thing. Somewhat related to that is the next thing we're going to talk about, which is migraine resilience is about systems, okay, not just single strategies. So it's not just about what you eat or what supplement you're taking. It's about the bigger picture. This is exactly what we talk about with a whole body approach to migraine, which is what we do in Raise Your Threshold. We're thinking about, is your gut absorbing things? Is your gut absorbing the great food that you're eating and the expensive supplements that you're taking? Is your nervous system feeling safe enough to rest and come out of fight or flight mode? Are your hormones like crazy all over the place? All of those systems matter. And you can't just like supplement or clean eat your way out of a dysregulated foundation. It can help, but it's not the only thing we need to be doing. And a few systems that I often see that need support with like new members in Raise Your Threshold just getting started, digestion is a big one. This isn't one we often think about when we're thinking about managing migraine. We're focusing more on our head, right? And like inflammation and pain and dizziness, and we're focusing on those things. Most people aren't focusing on digestion. Digestion is so important, y'all, because without good digestion, we're not absorbing our medications, we're not absorbing our supplements, we're prone to experience more inflammation if we have gut imbalances due to, digestive issues. We can also experience deficiencies, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, omega-3 deficiencies. We know how important those are. We can even start to develop overgrowths of things like inflammatory bacteria and candida when our digestion isn't working appropriately. And these things can impact migraine. And that's just one example. A lot of people also need help with blood sugar regulation. Even if you're making an effort to eat balanced meals, we don't know what's going on beneath the surface that might be influencing your blood sugar. I had a client come to me last week who was a great example of this. She was eating really healthy, lots of fruits and veggies, but she was skipping breakfast. And she didn't realize that not eating breakfast was actually throwing off her blood sugar for the entire rest of the day, because she thought since she was eating healthy when she was eating, she was covered. So you never know like what little things you can shift and change to help you get some real improvements. And that's already made a huge difference for her in like a week, just by trying to eat something for breakfast. So that's another really good example. And the third thing I want to talk about is you might be doing all the right things, but we might have a mindset that is holding us back a little bit. And before I go forward, I don't want you to take this as an opportunity to blame yourself, okay? This is a really great opportunity to uncover some additional ways that we can support ourselves, because most of us are not super aware of the messages we're sending our body on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, even minute-to-minute basis. A lot of it's subconscious. We're not doing anything on purpose to sabotage ourselves. Now, if your food choices, your habits, your routines are coming from a place of fear of triggering an attack, fear of doing it wrong, fear of missing something, that stress and that fear really adds up. Your body feels that. Your nervous system feels that. And sometimes shifting the energy behind those habits really makes a big difference. So easier said than done. I will say that. It takes practice. But if you can try to shift from fear, anxiety to calm and stability, that can make a huge difference in how your body accepts those habits. Because when we're perceiving stress, when our brain is sensing stress, it doesn't matter if it's real or imaginary. It doesn't matter if the food you're eating is triggering a migraine attack or is not. If you're really anxious and fearful about it, your brain's going to see that. And that is stress. That is real stress to your body. So again, this is not about blame, because these feelings and these thoughts and mindsets are reasonable, and your body, your brain, you have them for a reason. You have these feelings and these thoughts for a very valid reason. And it's also something we can play around with and see if attempting to shift these thoughts and these mindsets makes any difference. Right? You might be surprised at how powerful that can really be. We don't need to fall into the toxic positivity trap here, but trying to have a little bit more of an optimistic mindset can truly be helpful. It can even improve digestion, believe it or not, because when you're stressed, You're not digesting your food. You're in fight or flight mode. You don't need to digest your food to fight or flight, right? So it can really improve a lot of things. So if you want to play around with this, and again, only do this if it feels like something that will be helpful to you. You can, the next time you take a supplement or eat a meal or, go for a walk, you can ask yourself, am I doing this from a place of love and care? Or am I doing this from a place of fear and punishment? Just asking that question can at least help you become aware of your feelings and thoughts and mindsets around these habits that you're trying to incorporate. And you can start to uncover these things that you may not be aware of, right? And that's all you need to do to start. Just become more aware. You don't even have to try to correct those thoughts. Just becoming more aware of them can make a huge difference in itself. So if you want to play around with that, that's how you can start. So just to recap, we want to focus more on consistency than perfection and intensity. So being realistic about what you can do now, not overloading yourself. You want to focus on systems and whole body support instead of hyper focusing on just food, just supplements, right? We want to look at gut health, digestion, hormones, zoom out, look at the bigger picture. And then we also want to play around with our mindset and our energy behind the habits and other things that we're doing for migraine prevention. Are we coming at these things from a place of fear, or are we coming at them from a place of love? And if we play around with those things, those thoughts and those feelings, does it make a difference? So hopefully that has been helpful for you and gives you another thing to experiment with when you already feel like you're doing all the right things. I'll also say that Raise Your Threshold is truly made for the person who has tried everything. It's designed to get you results, even if you feel like you have nothing else left to try. So if you feel like you do need help with this and you'd like some extra support with raising your migraine threshold, feeling more confident about migraine, you can find the link to learn more about Raise Your Threshold in the show notes or the show description. And you are always more than welcome to reach out to me on Instagram at the.migraine.dietitian. I would love to talk more about how I can support you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Migraine Relief Hotline. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, follow, and share it with a friend who you think may also find this helpful. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.